Hello. It's March 20. How about that? That's a nice date. I know it well. Yes, sir, Bob. Where's Jimmy? There he is. Hello. Yeah. I've adopted this new format of no black around the different panels here. It's like with a seam. Oops, you see the seam right here? Yeah, it goes up and down right at the edge of that microphone right there. That seam goes all the way down. There's another variation of this. You want to see it? Okay, let's do it. Crop split. There we go. Bingo. See, now you got a black seam around right here before you get to the month and the day and the date without the year. It's alright. Can't have everything. So I go back to here. Hit crop split again. Bingo. Now you get a little more magnified view. There's no black. It's all video. And back here you can see. There we go. The light's a little too bright. Turn that down a little bit. There we go. Yeah, we got huge sunlight coming through. Matter of fact, we can do a little image editing. Show you how that works. Got to talk right into the end of this. This guy is very. You pull over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, you got to talk right into this turkey. Let's see if I can find. Let's go here. That's the beginning. Where's my sunrise? See this? Stupid is, stupid does. Done. Alright, what do we got here? It's supposed to have. Oh my god, look at that. Woo! I'm gonna push these three. Super duper. Oh god. Alright, we're gonna airdrop them over to my 13-inch guy, which is this one. And you're gonna suddenly magically, there you go. They magically appear somewhere. Where are they? Yeah, there's one. I don't think I got them all. There you go. Airdrop. 13-inch. There you go. Look at that. That's like magic, huh? Let's do this super wide angle one first. So I'm going to check the heart. And I'm going to hit the tool. The toolbar. Let me cancel that and show you. See down the bottom, in the middle, you can see the toolbar. And you have those all those little slat things. Looks like this. Touch that, and there you go. Is that a sunset? Is that a sunrise or what? Whew. I think my I think my horizontal is a little curly. There's nothing worse to make, whoops, to make a picture look amateur. See, now when I touch that, you see there's some grid lines that show up. Like you see I don't know if you can see the grid lines. We've got to get that. See, you don't. A rocky boat here. That's just a little bit. That's it. And I need to pull this up a little bit because those buildings look like they're falling into the sea. So we want to straighten those babies up. Yeah. They gave us what is known as a perspective control. And there's a little cleanup here. Let's let it get ready. Right here. Get rid of that white spot. Bingo! It's like magic, huh? Yeah. I think we'll leave everything else alone. Now we're going to go over to Photoshop Express. There we go. Hit Image Editor. And we're going to take the one we just played with and play further. And I'm going to give this in full screen mode so you can see all the tools. I mean, there's like a bunch of them down here. We want to go over to Haze. You see the blue box that just appeared? Haze. That's it. Now if I turn this way, haze looks like a whiteout. Going back to 0. And then if we go the other way, the blue sky gets even bluer. You can see it. And then we're going to come over here to reduce luminance. All the way, almost all the way over. You'll see the blue box show up. Bingo. And we're going to turn that up all the way. The one next to it. All the way. And then I'm going to come over here to clarity. Watch the blue box. Bingo. And I'm going to move that to the right. And you see how the buildings... That's too much. I'm just going to... Right there. Come over here to sharpen. See if we need any of that. I don't think we need any of that. Alright, so we're done. So, if you notice up on the very top, 1, 2, the fourth, with the arrow down. Hit the arrow down button. Now it's saved to our photos. Close it. Come back here. Alright, let's photos. So that's the one we worked on. And this that is more blue, deeper blue. Yeah. And you can see some digital noise in there. If we go to the next one, there's much less digital noise because we did that luminance. It eliminates all the pock marks because it was very dark. I mean, you can see with the campus lighting, the street lighting there. This was 6:48 this morning. That's those two. There's a little more telephoto.
It's 8:15.
So we're gonna, if you don't mind, we're just doing a little digital class here. We're gonna go back to Photoshop Express. And look at these right here. We're gonna hit Photo Editor. There we go. So we look at the, nope. Although that one's quite spectacular. Remember this where they touch down? I mean, is that like unbelievable or what? Holy mackerel. Now that capsule thing that's hanging below, that guy right there, that can hold 7 people. 4 in the front row, 3 in the back row. There's only 4. But that's a big, that's like a, that's much bigger than the NASA version. Beautiful big screen TV panels that the astronauts can visualize all the angles of the dangles. So here I can hit the haze and turn it up. See look what it does to the blue sky. Yeah, a little more intensive blue sky. Over here to shadow. That doesn't do much. Whites. Yeah, let's brighten up those. Huge. Remember, it took about 30 minutes. They push a button. It's actually all computer programmed. Remember AI? I mean, it's like, I'm amazed at how the media loves AI, artificial intelligence. AI is handling this entire flight. It decides what to do and when to do it. Yeah. So we'll go ahead and download that. What the heck? It's done. We've had, when you look east, we've had some pretty exciting looking clouds. I'm going to show you one. I think. Says it's going to take them. It was hiding up in the network. There, look at that. You talk about a sunrise. Holy mackerel. It looks like the beginning of a very scary movie. Dehazed. Do I really need to yeah, it's already. Yep, it is dehazed. That is one dramatic looking picture. That's great. Your photo has been saved. Okay, thank you. Thank you. All right, let's get back to reality, can we? Put Jimmy back in there. There he is. We have some interesting things to talk about. Anyway, I went up there and remember this is This is like a fireside chat, okay? We're just sitting around here listening to stuff go on. Gotta go down one on there, yeah. We're streaming this, right, over 3 social networks simultaneously. Can you believe it? As you can see up in the top banner that is sliding across as my hand is sliding across with it. YouTube Live, yeah. It goes right across both screens, including the one on the other side of that seam. Yeah, and the other side of that seam is right here where I'm jiggling it. Yep. Now there's a shot. Woo! That is owlsy. It is March 20th, Thursday. We're broadcasting live from downtown Boca Raton, Florida. The City Bob on the 8th floor, directly above Chops. If you're looking to fire a shoulder-mounted bazooka at Jimmy, just count up 8 stories above Chops, and it'll go right in my living room window, and it'll protrude probably into my den, and then Jimmy will go boom. Yeah. Anyway, this is a fireside chat. You just sit around, we're talking. You can talk too. You call in 561-416-1100, and you'll be right here. I can keep it private, or I can put it on the air. Send me a text. If you say, Jimmy, shut up, or talk about something more dramatic. More dramatic, like this. Trump files emergency request. Says controversial El Salvador deportation flight info is none of your god-darn business. You got some rookie judge that has no jurisdiction. He's not elected. He's appointed. I don't care who appointed him. He's not elected. He's just some, Trump was elected. And the people said, there was 150 million people that voted. Trump got like 76 million. The other guy got like 72 million. There's about 3 million vote difference, which is, really, they said it was a big election. I mean, it was a big election. A lot of people, more people voted in the election this year, or last year in November, I should say, November 5th, than any election in American history, which makes sense. Yeah, of course it makes sense. And he won the popular vote, which is irrelevant, actually. It's a nice thing because it's like saying how many base hits you got. Doesn't matter how many home runs you get. All right, the home runs in national politics, according to my trusty dusty Constitution, which I'm pulling out here. See that right there? Constitution of the United States of America. Constitution of the United States of America. There it is. Be there or be square. It's not big. This is the whole thing. Now, I have a piece of electrical tape holding it open to the 14th Amendment because there's some people arguing about whether, the way the Constitution reads, all persons born in the United States are subject to the laws of the United States and are citizens thereof. Period. There's no ambiguity to that. So what about mom? Mom, No. If you jump the border and have a baby, the kid is a naturalized citizen, supposedly. And that's now being argued. But the mother's status doesn't change. I mean, there's no birthright, for the mother. The kid is a citizen, but the mama is not. She's illegal. Yep. That's the way I read Article 1 of the 14th Amendment. And I can write a book, what I do not know about constitutional law. And you got all these legal geniuses, and guess what? Half of them agree with me, and half of them don't. So what about the other half? There's no third half. Anyway, so I keep this little sucker right in my back pocket. It's going there right now. Yes, sir. So if I'm out somewhere and someone wants to talk about the United States Constitution, you better watch out because I'm coming. It is amazing. What's even more amazing is that it was handwritten because they didn't have typewriters. Yeah, they were about 150 years too soon for a typewriter. As luck would have it, my grandfather, would you believe, handmade, he produced the first portable typewriter for the Underwood Typewriter Company. He hand manufactured it out of blocks of stainless steel in his basement where he had a metal lathe, a tool for grinding, polishing stainless steel parts and pieces. You know the thing where you hit the keys and the keys go like this and whack the paper with a... Yeah. Yes, sir. With the rolls of the ink-laden cloth, and it bangs on the paper and leaves an impression. ASDFG, semicolon LKJH. Don't you remember that from typing school? You put your fingers on the typewriter, just like that. ASDFG, semicolon LKJH. And the finger goes over for the H, over for the... over. Yeah. Typing class in 7th grade. ASTFG, semicolon LKJH. Now, wouldn't you like to know why the hell all these letters are in such weird... the A is already over here. The B is way down there. The C is way over here. The D is up there. They're all over the place. Well, some genius decided, not my grandfather, someone else decided that having these keys where they are makes it so that your fingers, this finger goes and that finger goes. Each hand gets equal opportunity keyboard. And so when you, not all words, but many of the words, there's a balance between this hand and that hand. I mean, that is the theory on how they came up with this cockamamie arrangement where you got ASTFG, semicolon LKJH, from the inside, from the outside in of your hands. Since we're talking about keyboards, this I have a 13-inch, there it is, it's a MacBook Pro, and it is thin. Look at that, how thin that is. It's actually thinner than my iPhone. It's all display, and somewhere in there is batteries and a processor. Well, the whole processor thing is about this size and it's like this way, inside the behind this display, and then everything on both, then everything on this side and this side is battery. It is all battery. Yeah. Yeah. Well, we spent. I spent 3.5 days
It's 8:30.
trying to get the right oxygen concentrator, the portable. Medicare's idea of portable is a 20-pound cylinder of compressed oxygen that stands up about 3.5 feet tall. It's about this big in diameter. It's pressurized with gaseous oxygen. You hear a lot about liquid oxygen. Yeah, that's for SpaceX. Yeah, I have a shirt that says SpaceX. Whoops, I'm going to twist my camera over here so you can see it. You see? SpaceX. There you go. I'm a fan. There we go. I'm turning it back so we can see. There we go. You can see the time of day. Ooh. There you go. 8:31. You see the clock right here? 8:31, 05, 06, 07, 08. That is the exact time. Just in case you're not clear on this topic. Yeah, that's the time. Yep. I got a little black napkin here. It's not behaving. There we go. And then this right here, that's the time of day. And this is elapsed time. Elapse. Time. Elapsed time. I've been yakety-yakking in here for 27 minutes and 53 seconds. Yeah. And it's just you and me. I've got several thousand friends between YouTube Live, Facebook Live, and Twitter Live. X Live, whatever. Come on, Elon, get back Twitter. It's going to be Twitter. I'm calling it Twitter. I don't care what you want to call it. Yeah, what the heck? It's been Twitter. Then you buy it and you call it X. Why not Y or Z? He's got, some people have, a fetish for things. He has I don't know, is that a Jewish word? He has a fetish for X. He has a kid called X. Can you believe it? We have SpaceX. I mean, I don't know, space and then X with a big tail on it. I don't so SpaceX. I mean, it falls right off your face very nicely. SpaceX. So does Twitter. Leave it alone. It's Twitter. Yes, sir. Anyway, so the last time I saw Robin, look at this. She gave me A Secret Life of Cats. Out of the wild and into your homes. Right there. Yes, The Secret Lives of Cats. Yeah, I have a cat that almost looks like that. Tuxedo with the nice little paws up front. And there's something very nice about a cat. My little boy cat, Kino. We named our cats after African coffees, of all things. Kenya and Kino. We had Caribou, but she's in cat heaven right now, resting comfortably. Yeah, she kicked the bucket. She was a year older than Kenya and Kino, and Kenya Kino are 14 years old. Yeah, December 1st of this year, they'll be 15 years old. Yep. Year 2010 apparently is their birth year. My birthday is right now, baby. Yes, on March 21st day of spring at 9:36 a.m., which is an hour and 2 minutes from now. In 1 hour and 2 minutes is my birthday, right to the day. You know who else's birthday it is? Barron Trump. We have the exact same birthday. Now, I don't know what time of day he was born, but I was born at 9:36 a.m. at Mary Immaculate Hospital in downtown Brooklyn. Would you believe it? Everyone's Brooklyn. What the heck's going on here? Jamaican me crazy. Yeah, anyways, this is like, you're sitting over there, you're reading your, what do you call it? I'm sitting over here and I'm reading my shoulder, my pads. You notice how I can go back and forth with things. I capture images, just like you see here, and that reminds me of what I want to talk about. Anyway, National Geographic has got this delightful magazine. There it is, The Secret Lives of Cats. So now you can see, we got cats on both sides of this program. Yeah. And you can smell it. It's a beautiful thing. The way National Geographic puts together a magazine. And of course, it has this hard binding on the edges. That square edge, on the corner. Yeah. This will go right on our coffee table. It's a big coffee table. It's 54 inches across. It's a perfect square. 54 inches on each of the four sides, as I remember. Sets, coffee table height, as it will. Yeah. It'll go right there somewhere. Right next to on top of one of my Trump books. I got all three Trump books. The letters about Trump, to Trump, from Trump. And then two other Trump books. Yeah. They weigh about 5 pounds apiece. But they're interesting. You see pictures in there that you haven't actually seen published before. So, there's something, when you spend 2 years of your life talking on TV, answering questions to the media, flying all over the place here, all over the place there. You're doing this for like several years, for God's sakes. The governor of California has already started politicking for 2028. Can you believe it? That's 4 years from now. Trump just got elected. And you got Governor Newsom, as Trump calls him, Newscum. Trump is such a piece of work. Yeah, what are you going to say? Brooklyn. Oh, yeah. He's the Bronx, the Brooklyn, Jamaica Heights. Jamaican me crazy. Oh, yeah. That whole J-Lo, Jimmy, the Don. Yeah. His father gave him $50 million, and he turned it into $5 billion. So don't tell me he's a dummy. He's not a dummy. He be one smart character. Okay? Just write it down. He may be a pain in the butt. He's a pain in the butt to a lot of people. You have to get used to him. He's a tough cookie. He gets stuff done. Bottom line, he gets stuff done. He's got his campaign promises right. The big ass yellow pad with a bunch of little squares down here, and he checks them off. He gets them done. The typical politician, he talks about stuff, but doesn't get anything done. This guy gets stuff done. Including getting rid of a bunch of badasses that are in those buses coming out of the barbed wire. They pack them on airplanes. Adios amigo. They're in international airspace, and some rookie judge says, "Hey, I want to know who's on there." You know what? The Supreme Court is sitting on their hands. Get with it. Some rookie judge somewhere in the United States does not have the authority to interfere with the execution of international, with illegals that are being deported. Okay? They jump the border. They're criminals in this country, attacking, robbing, and a lot worse. Every R word there is, these guys have done it. And you deport them. That's it. They don't have any, they don't have any rights to, due process. Bullshit. Out. Get them out. The legal system, Trump's had it up to his eyebrows with legal schmigel. Everybody's trying to put him in jail, right? Because they can't beat him legitimately at the ballot box. So the very left wing, all the socialists in the United States, all the legal socialists, to name a few characteristics, are trying to put him in jail. Oh, you got the wrong documents in your garage. You kidding me? Numbnuts, who just left office, has documents dating back 40 years. As a senator, he's not even supposed to see them. Well, he can see them, but he's not allowed to touch them. He folds them up, puts them in his pockets, walks out of the skiff, and then stuffs it in a box in his garage next to his Corvette. This guy's not supposed to have those documents. A skiff is a secret, super secret. It's covered with all kinds of wire and stuff, copper cage, grounded, so that even radio frequencies can't get in and out. This guy said, no problem. So he reads the document that's on the desk, and then when he's done, he folds it up and puts it in his pocket and walks out. Apparently there's a pile of them there, so the next senator can walk in and read what numbnuts decided to walk off with. There was a guy by the name of Berger. He went into the National Archives and stuffed all kinds of stuff in his pants. Oh, God. Crap that, dealing with Bubba Clinton. Yeah. And Monica Lewinsky. Excuse me, Monica, for mispronouncing your last name. Monica Lewinsky. Yeah. Hey, look. Look who Bubba's married to. No wonder he's fooling around with Lewinsky. I'm sure Hillary is there's not enough masking tape you can put on someone. I mean, she is, the last thing you can think of is romantic with Hillary Clinton. Yeah, that is opposite of romantic. If the synonym for opposite of romantic is Hillary Clinton. Just say those names real fast together. Yeah. Not romantic. Yeah. Okay. The Pentagon is now weighing major cuts to the top of the U.S. military. Yeah, you got SECCOM South, SECCOM North. You get the superstructure, it's like an upside down pyramid, for God's sakes, in the Pentagon. And our favorite fellow here, whoops. Come on. There you go. Peter Hegseth. Yeah. There he is. He doesn't look very happy, does he? I don't know. He's just reading some. He's a smart cookie now. He served 20 years in the military service. He also was in journalism with the morning show on the Fox in the morning on the weekends. He did that for about 10 years, or at least starting to, and filling in all kinds of other positions when people are out or on vacation or whatever. His last spot was Saturday and Sunday, the very right side of the couch on the weekend show, Saturday, Sunday. Yep. And then all of a sudden, they sent him a plane ticket to Mar-a-Lago, where the Trump transition team interviewed him over and over and over again, filled out big questionnaire, FS-171 is the form. I actually have filled out one of those and was offered a job in the U.S. government, tucked away. I was going to be one of the senior credit committee members. There's only 3 of them, and they decide, those 3 people vote on whether to adopt or not adopt what the junior officers of the government decide on how to dispose of assets that they have acquired through banks that went out of business. Remember the RTC? The Resolution Trust Corporation. Yeah. That's a thing with the FDIC. I was offered a position at the FDIC at a high level. I didn't take it. Hindsight is always 20/20. I probably should have taken it. I wouldn't have met some very exciting people that I know now. I could possibly not be with you right now if I had taken that job, come to think of it. Because then I wouldn't have known Gene Strasser, and he wouldn't have had a little spot on my neck, right in the middle of your throat. Oops. Right below the Adam's apple, right there where the bones come together. You stick your finger right where the bones come together and shove it up towards your neck. Right in that middle spot. There was a spot. It was a little tiny spot. And I was pointing out all these little dark spots all over my front of my arms and this and that. And I put the little dots all over a chart. You know, the chart of a human being, you know, you can, where an autopsy indicates there's a cut here, and there's a dot there, and there's a smile here, and yeah. You certainly remember that, yeah, absolutely. Well, he found a spot, so he's checking out all my little spots. I got them marked all over. I said, how about this one? How about that one over there? No, I'm not interested in that one. How about this one over here? Nah, that's not really. All right, the last one I have on my thing, Gene. Dr. Gene Strasser. Extraordinaire. How about this one right here? Ooh, let me look at that one. Now I'm interested in that one. I said, okay. Are you kidding me? It's the smallest little bit. He said, yeah, we need to clip a piece of this one out and send it to the laboratory. Ex post facto, fast. I said, are you shitting me? He said, no, this is trouble. My guess is if we don't take care of this, you don't see Thanksgiving. Really? He said, yeah. That little dot? He said, oh yeah, man. That thing goes malignant, you're a dead duck. He said, I think that's a squamous cell carcinoma. Squamous cell carcinoma, yeah. But I'm going to send it to the lab. We got to make sure. So he clipped off a piece, sent it to the lab, calls me on the phone, says, Jimmy, you got to get back in here. It is a squamous cell carcinoma, and we got to take out more tissue to make sure you're not a dead duck for Thanksgiving. You're going to have a turkey for Thanksgiving. Let's not have Jimmy as a dead duck also. So I go back in there, and he takes a piece of meat out of my neck about that size, you know, slightly bigger than a quarter. It's a rotary gear thingy, and then he sews it back up, you know, which, you know, they deaden all the tissue, yes, you know. But when the Zalocaine wears off, oh my God, you can't lift up your chin. It was just stretch that spot where they took out all this meat. Oh God. Then they send that to the laboratory, and they check all the perimeter edges of that piece of meat. And as long as there are no little squamous cell carcinomas around that edge, they got it. And they got it. So that was the end of squamous cell. He said, now Jimmy, now since we know you have a propensity in growing these things, we got to keep an eye on you every 6 months. You know, so when one of these little suckers pops up, we can, you know, snip it off or whatever we got to do. So that's what they've been doing. They've had 2 or 3 others that gave concern to my good buddy Dr. Gene Strasser. But you see, if I would have taken that FDIC job, then I wouldn't have been on the team that would have bought the first something International Bank of Hollywood, and then I wouldn't have sat on the board of directors with Gene Strasser, which is where I met him, because he wrote a nice big check to the enterprise that had something to do with buying said bank. And that means that spot may have not been discovered. And then I would have not seen Thanksgiving. You know, 15 years ago. Can you imagine? But all of the above happened. And the little spot's gone. Now I got a couple more spots I got to have them look at. Jeez. I know it's a constant battle. Look at this. This is a Beretta MRAD with a silencer on it. You can see. Look at that opening. I've got a silencer. I do. You want to see it? I'll show you. I do? It's in this secret box down here. This not so secret box. Here it is. Let me open it up for you. Whoops. There's a crate. Oh yeah, there it is. It's one of these boxes that opens like this. It's got that little thing. Yeah, I know. And then it opens all the way like this. And then this opens all the way this way. Takes you 10 minutes to get to it. Here it is. It's in the bed all by itself. Bing, bing. There you go. That's it. That is a silencer. It'd be metal. It'd be like titanium or something. So what did that bring to mind? This is the look at this thing. This is the key which you fit in those grooves there. See the grooves? There's the grooves. And this thing fits on top of here. And then you can unscrew. See, the top end of that is unscrewing. Hear it? I can hear it. It's a very fine thread. And you keep unscrewing it. Oh my God. Look at how much unscrewing I gotta do. Ooh. God. There it is. Now it's totally unscrewed. That's chamber for 9mm. And then inside here, there are all these little baffle looking things. Do you see that right in there? If I bang this on the table. Whoa! Look at that. These are all those baffles. I have to remember what I'm doing. I have to put it back. Yeah. And I believe these all unscrew. And this, each one of these is a separate doodad. Yeah. That you've just seen the inside of a silencer. So after, you've taken some shots, then all those little baffles trap the sound so that this thing, instead of 180 decibels when you fire a gun and it goes boom, and you can hear it 3 blocks away, it goes boom instead of kaboom. Yeah, that's about it. So we're gonna just put that way. The key is gonna go there. Let's tighten it. There we go. We don't over tighten it because we need to get that sucker off after you shoot it a few times. I've put it on guns, makes it look very exciting, makes it look like, where's that Beretta MRAD. Yeah. Anyway, so that's my silencer. You can screw it on. It takes a year to get it. If you know somebody, if you know someone at the ATF, which is the enterprise that approves someone that gets a silencer, if you don't know anybody, which I knew somebody, but I didn't think of getting a silencer when my daughter was the senior executive assistant to the director of the ATF. Can you believe it? Yeah. Ken Mawson? Yeah. Anyway, he's not the director of ATF anymore. And Robin doesn't work in that office anymore. They had clearances that were so high, they go backwards through security at the airport. You know, where it says you can't go back in, that's how they go in. They don't even see the agents because they got clearance to walk in the back door of the White House, so they can go anywhere. You're the director of the ATF. You and your aide, she was like an aide, senior aide, walk right in the door, or walk right in your private jet to go somewhere. But anyway, why did I get myself to? I noticed the end of the silencer. See how I'm doing a reverse flood here? You see those 4 dots around there? That's where you put the key in to unscrew that doodad, because you have to clean out the baffles of the silencer. It's also a flame retardant. He's got, like burlap wrapped around that silencer, and then strings around it to keep the burlap from unwrapping, so that, because when you shoot that weapon, bang, 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 50 or 60 rounds goes through that silencer, and it gets very, very hot. And if you put your hands on there, all this skin is going to be stuck to the silencer. So you don't want to do that. So they put the burlap around there so that you don't burny. Keep your hands off the end of that rifle. This barrel right here in the middle, that's hot too. And that's what this is all about. So you grab that, not that. Because this keeps your hands away, that's about that big around. It keeps your hands away from the hot barrel. Because, there's a lot going on when you pull that trigger and that bullet gets blasted out of that barrel. A lot of heat, baby. Because there's gunpowder in that, and them there bullets. And, these guys are bored. Look at that sighting thing. I don't know. I can't quite figure out what's going on there. But that's that's a cover that's on the lens, so that people that are looking at you can't see that lens reflecting back, to someone that's trying to shoot him. These guys are shooting at each other, right? He's hiding behind a tree. It looks like a pretty skinny tree, but he's like a sniper guy, so he's got a silencer on there. So the other thing it controls is the flame, because there's a flame that shoots out of that thing also. Yeah. So you have that flame retarding, so that sideways, if you're not really in front of this guy, you're a little bit off to one side or the other, you'd see the flame coming out of the barrel. I mean, you will see, at nighttime, you see the flame coming out of that barrel big time. At sunset, or, at high noon, I don't know how much you'd see, but you'd see smoke and stuff. I mean, there's a lot going on at the end of that barrel, if you know enough about it to pay attention to it. Yeah. So he's got the kind of sight that you can't see the lens. It's like a cover on the front, and it's got a bunch of slits this way. You can see that, those slits. So that makes it so that the person that he's looking at, when he looks in the direction of this Ukrainian sniper, he won't see that sighting device, which is mounted on that rifle. And a little red dot appears in that sight right over the head, face, neck of a bad guy. Pulls the trigger, bad guy goes boom. Yep. Well, after, I think I was telling you, after, phew, I spent, I'm a relatively, yeah, people that know me would agree with this statement. I'm a relative analytical person. I pay attention to what's going on. I got, because my doctor grounded me, and said unless you have one of these portable, you see that portable device that's on that lady's shoulder? Unless you have a portable oxygen concentrator, you are not traveling in an airplane. Forget it. Forget about it. So I figured, all right, I better, and, Merrill and I were going to go take a drive up north to Vero Beach or something like that. And he says, well, you're going to go to Vero Beach. You need portable oxygen. Well, in the eyes of, in the eyes of Medicare, portable oxygen means they take one of these big ass cylinders, these green things you see in the hospital, that stands up about 3 feet tall. It's about this big in diameter. They put it in a cart with 2 wheels on it, and they call this, because they got it in a cart with 2 wheels on it, they call it portable. Yeah, it's portable if you got someone with you. Yeah, who the hell's going to put it in the cart? It's heavy. I can do it, but barely. But this'll doodad right there, hanging right near that lady's elbow. And then there's a bigger one, a view of it there out of the case. So, and you learn all this stuff. You need a physician's consent form for use of portable oxygen concentrator, here and after referred to as POC. Can you believe it? Portable oxygen concentrator. They don't use all those words. I would just say, do you have a signed POC form from your doctor? Oh, you mean this right here, POC? Yeah. Discussing the DME. What's a DME? Sir, what is a DME? It is your durable medical equipment, of course. You fool. Yeah, oh boy. So, after a series of faxes, from Jimmy, patient. See, there's Jimmy, patient. I'm not patient. Well, you're a patient. You're an impatient patient. That's right. Very impatient patient. There's a list of phone numbers I had to call. Yeah. Jeez. Okay. From Jimmy Wilson. Of course, you have to have your DOB because you're talking about your POC. And the DME, you got these acronyms. DOB is date of birth. It's nothing. Yeah, but you got the context. And then you got the PPO insurance, and it goes on and on. I mean, 3 letters, every 3 letters of the alphabet you end up dealing with there. All right, supplier, healthcare. My healthcare is PPO, United Healthcare. Effective 3/1/25. Can you imagine? I'm getting on an airplane 3:14. I got 3:01. Oh boy. Well, that's like over a weekend, so I can't do anything till 3:03. But at 3:13, 3:03, 3:13, that means I got 10 days to get all this DME, PPO, DOB for the DME and the POC. Yeah, the supplier is Lincare. There's that fax number. Please note the charts taken directly from the page 24 of the manual. So if we refer to the manual, oh boy. Hey, I got this done. I bet you. If you go to the manual on page 24, I remember, my grandfather taught me, never use a bookmark, son. Because you're reading something, right, Jimmy? Yeah. Well, when you're reading something, when you're done reading for the day, remember the page number. How the hell are you going to remember what the hell you're reading if you can't even remember the page number where you left off? No bookmarks. Not allowed. You dog-ear a page, I'm going to dog-ear your finger. No, he didn't threaten me. He just gave me the stare. A friend of mine just called me. It was either for real or a butt dial. 9:10 in the morning on Thursday. Probably telling me happy birthday. Yeah. Judy Gore, thank you very much for saying happy birthday. She's in Pennsylvania. She used to be here. Anyway, I got the durable medical equipment, and it produces 1,280. Is that 80? 1,260 milliliters of oxygen per minute. All right, that's 1.26 liters per minute. But they set me up with Lincare. Lincare set me up with some other piece of equipment. It was not the Inogen G5, and believe me, this is one fantastic piece of equipment. It's lighter, it's smaller, and produces more oxygen. Now, what's not to like about that? It's 30, that other thing weighed 5 pounds. 5 pounds, that's like heavy. That's like a 5-pound barbell plate. 5 pounds, you kidding me? Yeah, this is 2.8. Well, 2.8 pounds is different than 5 pounds. And you get like 12 hours out of the battery instead of 4. Really? It's the other equipment was just barely satisfactory to make you legal on an airplane. So I called Lincare up on the phone. I hate to use their name, but what the heck? Called Lincare on the phone, spoke to some nice lady. And I said, look, I'm about ready to get moving on my portable, my POC. She knew exactly what I was talking about. And I'm looking for the Inogen 1 G5. Is that right? Let me look at the cover of this booklet. Yeah. Inogen 1, O-N-E, Inogen, I-N-O-G-E-N, O-N-E, G5. Do you have such an item? I'm told from my health insurance company, your company handles those. Do you have it in your office in Delray Beach? She said, yeah, I'm looking at it right now. She said, I don't know if it's going to be here when you get, when you get all your paperwork regarding your POC and your DME and with your health insurance provider. Oh, my God. And I just got brand new insurance, right? Oh, boy. But my brother-in-law said, David Turner, he is the guy to go to. He is a United Healthcare agent resident here in Fort Myers, Florida. I said, oh, my God. Bobby, tell me what his phone number is. He gives me his phone number. I call up Mr. Turner. And I said, David Turner? Yeah? This is yours truly. I need some DME. And I need it fast. So I can't have you health insurance guys, missing in action because, this $4,500 piece of equipment, and I need your insurance thingy. So he said, no problem. You do this, you do that, I said, okay, well, I'm going to back up everything. Not with you, but when I call my doctor, I'm going to send him a fax. I have his personal fax number. I mean, not personal, but his fax that goes right into his office. Yeah. Every doctor's got a fax machine. Yeah. So you're not allowed to send emails back and forth because there could be bugs on them or something. Yeah. So in order to prevent all this, problems with electronics, fax goes to paper. Even though the fax machines are electronic and they go right in your medical file, somehow they feel like they're safer than it's just that translation from paper to digital, and the digital goes in the file. So the fact that it has a paper step, sort of, even though the electronic fax goes right in your file. Yeah. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. You can't get an email address from a doctor anymore. Yeah, they deal in paper. You walk in there, you see those files. Oh my God. There's 10 million sheets of paper and files, color coded. Anyway, so I got all that paperwork done. They sent me the wrong equipment. I said, all right, well, we're going to go on the flight with the wrong equipment. But when I get back, I'm talking to my number 4 son and number 2 wife. Sorry, Marilyn. We've been married 45 years. Together 45 years. Woo! Yeah, she was. When you're younger. We were like 2 peas in a pod. Wherever she was, I was. Yeah, and vice versa. Yeah, we are together. Now, since she's 70 something and I'm, oh yes, I am now 80. Right now. I just popped out. 80 years ago, can you imagine? Holy crap. I made it to 80. Yep, 9:17 a.m. God almighty. It's a little scary when you get to be 80. Because, you have these people that friends. They die on you. Yeah, it is. Really? Oh, there's a box. Got my popcorn bowls. How's this guy doing? Got this battery for this DMA I'm talking about. Yeah. All right, let's see what's going on with this. See updates. Press that. Well, 5 a.m. the package is being processed at Deerfield Beach. And it's just sitting there. All right. Still goes. Yep. What's this in that other bigger box? I had 1 popcorn bowl. Now I got 4. Yeah. It was like $18 for these nice, sturdy, 135 ounce bowls, which is like a half a gallon bowl. Yeah. Where's my calculator? There it is. 32 ounces in a quart times 4. 128. It's a gallon bowl. So look at it, a gallon jug. That's the size of the bowl. So it's a good sized bowl. Now you don't have to fill it with popcorn, but you can half fill it with popcorn. So then you got, and it's white popcorn. Yeah. So they stack. So I got some popcorn bowls that are going to sit on top of my popcorn machine. Popcorn is a nice, evening snack. You sip on your iced tea or whatever. Yeah. Porcelain soup bowl? No. That's not what you put popcorn in. It has to be a synthetic bowl, some kind of polyethylene or poly something. Well, let's see what it is. We'll go back. We'll touch that. And we'll touch that. There we go. Let's see what they are. Acrylic, of course. There you go. See the side? It could be a salad bowl. It's a 10-inch bowl. There's 3 of them. Reusable. BPA free. And it's made in the United States. So you can pour a gallon of water in there. Because I just proved to you, right here, that a gallon is 4 quarts. A quart is 32 ounces. 32 times 4 is 128. 32 times 4 equals 128 ounces. That's it. Yeah, that's a gallon. These are 135 ounces, so it's a gallon bowl. Yeah. What the heck? It's nice white color. See that right there? Salad. There you go. Now that's salad for the whole family. That's not your salad. There's olive oil in the background. Yeah. Made in USA. Oh, there's a bowl of lemons. Yeah. See how nice they... Whoops. Yeah. This is important. See how they stack up? Just like that. 10 inches across, 4.5 inches deep. Perfect. The lemons sold the bowls. No. Yeah, you gotta... Yes, it's not... $18, what the hell? How do you go wrong with that? You can't go wrong with that. And I didn't want this fakakta shape, where you got, these goofy angles. No. We keep it simple. It's Amazon best choice. If you want, you can get 5-inch, 8.1 inch, or 6-inch, 6.2 inch. Yeah, no, I didn't want those. We went with this one right here. All consistent shape, round, flat bottom, made in the USA. What the heck? There you go. You see how they stack? Durable material. Will not shatter if you throw it on the ground. It's dishwasher safe. PBA free. Free of all harmful chemicals. Oh yeah, how about the acrylic? Don't eat that. Yeah, no. Made in the USA. Designed and manufactured in Libertyville, Illinois. The heart of all that oil stuff. A lot of smog in Liberty, though. Anyways, it's a good thing. He had two different size bowls made out of bamboo. Bamboo fiber, deep salad bowl. You want white popcorn in the dark bowl? That'd have been alright. But, see, there's $17 a piece as opposed to $18 for a set of 3. That's a difference, right? And you got a big one and a little one. You got a 6-quart and a 4-quart. 11-inch bowl. You got an 11-inch bowl and a 10-inch bowl. I don't know. That doesn't look like. That doesn't make sense. That little bowl doesn't look like that would be a 10-inch. Because the bigger one's 11. There's only 1-inch difference. I don't. That's not what I see. Let's see. Here's 9.8 inch. They're trying to trick you. 11 inches, 11.3, and 9.8. Well, see, that's different. That's a 1.5 inch difference in the diameter. I know, we didn't get those. 135 ounce and the 208 ounce. Now that's a big bowl. Yeah, we didn't do that. Extra large. Look at how large that bowl is. No, that's too big. Look at all. Look at all the eggs it holds. There's one right there. Holy crap! I guess you're supposed to look at the eggs. This other thing looks like the pan he's making scrambled eggs in. That's not this bamboo thing. This is a metal thing they're making the eggs out of. Yeah, see, they're tricking you. Yeah. Dishwasher safe, really? A bamboo bowl? You can put that in the dishwasher? I didn't think you could put bamboo in a dishwasher. Anyway, stacks neatly. You'll see that. Ooh, that's too big. Yep, that 11.3 inches is just 1.3 inches too much. That's why we went with what's outside my front door right now. A 10-inch bowl, white acrylic. Not the clear. Yeah, because I was afraid, you look through it and you see, there, it's like that. It's white. You got to be a discriminating. That's the amazing thing about Amazon. Amazon.com. You got look at all this stuff. You got every white bowl known to man under the roof. I don't know what I'm going to do about this camera thing. You put it up in the windshield and it constantly records like a 30-minute loop when you drive your car. In case something goes for Cowie. You've got visual evidence of, who did what to who. That looks like too much. See this little square dot. All right, let's touch on this. See what's going on here. Touch on that again. Make it bigger. Oh yeah, look at that. So I'm having trouble visualizing how that lines up with what I'm looking at. You got HDR. What is HDR? High Dynamic Range. That's what HDR stands for. And the HDR is, you got the bright red lights, against a dark early evening in the city. So on the bottom there you can see non-HDR and HDR. Whoops, excuse me. I'm trying to figure out how all this stuff fits up in the window. Yeah, and they got a camera turned at you too, so it's looking forward and backward. So you got a 1080p camera. There's a 1080p cabin. Yeah, you see the driver and the passenger sipping the coffee. Put the thing down and put your hands on the wheel, woman. Yeah, 2 hands on the wheel. And then you got a front-facing camera in HDR. Okay. Supports up to 256 gigabyte micro SD card, which is like a little. It's like your fingernail. It's a 256 gigabyte. Holy mackerel! Yeah, they make them. I know. I don't know. I might have one. I might have 1 or 2 of those in my inventory of stuff. Yeah, it's a micro. It's a real little. It fits right in the end there. See, TF card. Power thing goes in there. Rear camera socket. Yeah, we're not going to have a rear camera. You got a 170 degree wide angle front facing camera. You got a little rear facing dip you put somewhere else. And then you got this one in the middle that shows them sipping the coffee. Yeah, it connects with your phone with Bluetooth. That's good. Anyway, I just put it in my. We're gonna. There's a button here that says "Save for later." Because I don't want to hit a button by mistake and have the sucker. I'm not ready to. I've not decided yet. Is this in the cart? It says "Add the cart." Two-year protection plan, $25. That's probably the best deal about all this. We're just gonna get out of there. It's still in the cart. Oh, here it is. Save for later. Bingo. Yep. Okay. We got all that figured out pretty good. It's 9:30. All important stuff. Let's see what else is going on in the world. Man steals an ambulance. Leads cops on a wild goose chase. Wild goose chase. Wild chase. And he's guzzling a beer while he's doing it. While he swipes an ambulance. What people, get a life, man. All right, we got some lighting. Cartel scout said he helped smuggle 1,000 undocumented immigrants into the U.S. last year. Oh, thank you. Do you know what it is for 1,000? Oh, God. Oh, Lordy. They provide everybody with cell phones, by the way. Oh, yeah. Sure. You get a free hookup for the rest of your frickin' life. On the taxpayer. Taxpayer pays for that. Connectivity. No, sir. All right, what's going on here? I just fell to the ground. Some of Trump and Musk's most public supporters targeted in a wave of swatting incidents. Yeah, I have to figure out what that means. Okay. There was a discussion yesterday. Do these guys get overtime pay for being in space for an extra 9 months? No. No, you don't get overtime pay. But the United States government probably had to pay, $80 million to SpaceX, to bring these guys back. You got to send up the missile to bring these guys back. So they sandwiched it in. They compromised with NASA. The reason why it was 10 months wait is they scheduled it with, they're going to put up 4 new yesterday. Let's start over again. Yesterday, SpaceX launched 2 empty spacesuits tailored to fit the 2 people they're bringing back, because they had spacesuits designed for, the Boeing, whatever they call their capsule thing. NASA likes to have 2 companies competing to do stuff. Kind of keeps everybody legal with regard to, the pricing out of, this piecework as far as, doing things for the United States government. If you get too expensive, they go to the other guy, So Boeing was in there with SpaceX. Everyone thought Boeing would be, they're Boeing. They'll win the contract. So we're going to have SpaceX in there as the side pocket people. Well, guess what? Boeing got all kinds of problems on their own without having to deal with this. Now they got another problem, with the pricing of what they want done. So since the Starliner, I think that's what they call, I think the Boeing thing is called Starliner or something like that. The Starliner was leaking terribly. So their attitude, all these little jets on the side, to keep the capsule perfectly aligned, so when it starts moving down towards into the atmosphere, you got to keep that at a very specific angle of attack, or else the heat shield will burn off. Heat shield burns off, you turn into a French fry real quick. Yeah, because you're going 18,000 miles an hour. Yeah, that'll blow your skin off. You'll disintegrate. Plus, it's hot. You'll disintegrate. Yeah. Yeah, you won't even turn into a French fry. Because in 30 minutes you'll burn up in the atmosphere, along with the other equipment you got going for you in the device itself. It's amazing. So here's a whole bunch of stories that you can pick and read. Yeah, this is how I get my news every day. I read this iPad. Nice little device that's connected to a keyboard. It folds up into a nice, you can see, clamshell device that even when folded, you can see the thinness of it. It's very thin. I put this tab on here so you can I can open it up without having to get your fingernails in there. Yeah. And it opens up very nicely. There we go. And you can see I can just a little flip of your finger. And it turns the page, and you got 5 or 6 more stories. Yeah. So we come back here to my picture. Here's the picture. There's the Beretta NRAD with a silencer on it. I showed you the silencer. He's got an interesting sighting device, which I don't know about what that is. We'll figure it out later. Okay, a top Arizona election official has his eye. He has his eye on a congressional seat that's right on the border because the Democrat passed away. So everyone's going to jump on that spot. That's what's going on there. Tomorrow we'll see how that further develops. John Roberts enabled Trump. Now, Roberts hopes to restrain Trump. He enabled him, and now he has to restrain him. Yeah, this judge thing is a problem. That needs to get fixed right away. And exclusive subtle clues as the astronaut was stretchered away. That something was wrong with her health. I don't see any clue, quite frankly, in these two images. This already is a picture. I see your hand there. Yeah, you can see in there. Well, when you're in a weightless situation for almost 10 months, weightless, you know, all your organs, tend to, this gravitational force going down, right? So I would imagine you would have, now your heart has to push your blood up into your brain. Remember your brain? So that's a little issue because your heart has been on vacation for 10 months. Your heart's pumping the blood all around. There's no, you don't have to worry about forcing the blood back up the legs. It goes down, it comes up real easy when you're weightless. When you have, when you're at sea level, that gravitational pull makes it a little more difficult for your organs to behave properly. Of course, they're getting along just fine because they're all yeah. No, I'm looking at these two images, and there's nothing about these two images in Jimmy's look at it. What's about those two images that makes it eminently obvious that she's, got an impairment more than what they already anticipated? They know about, when you're in a weightless situation for 10 months, almost 10 months, which is beyond the recommended dosage for amount of space travel. those images look pretty clean to me. But she's got trouble. They're gonna have trouble. They're not gonna be able to walk around, unless they're wobbly. Because when they get up, all the blood pressure goes down, so your brain empties out of blood. It's hard to push the blood back up there, and for 10 months it hasn't had to do it. Now it has to do it again. So there's going to be a problem with dealing with that. And what I read is that if they're up there 10 months, there's 10 months worth of rehabilitation. Because now they have to rehabilitate themselves back in the world of gravity. That's the way it is, baby. Yeah. So, and the bone, you have, every month is 1% difference in your bone density. Well, 10 months, that's 10%. If your bone density goes down 10 or 15%, that's a big issue. That's a big issue. So they actually hurt these astronauts by keeping them up there. Because you can't play games the way you're going to take the assignment or not. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. So we'll see what happens. We'll figure it out. Exclusive, subtle clues as the astronaut was stretchered away as something was wrong with her health. What? Baloney. What's wrong with her health is that she was up in space for 10 months and now she's down here. Her health is fine. She just, had an easy ride with the circulatory system because it was weightless. There's my cat magazine. You can see here. I get a kick out of these diagrams they use. AI chat. I've done it. It's very interesting. I'd send up a work product and say, "Give me a report about this topic." Well, I'd zap that up there and in my free 30 days evaluation. Yeah. AI is showing up in nearly every workplace, affecting the way teams communicate, affecting the way teams make decisions, and affecting the way teams interface with the executive of that team. All right, here's some tips on AI related skills. Now, you don't need to be a coder, but you do need a basic understanding of how AI works. So here are the 5 different things you have to you can come back to this page right here. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but you can see the 5 bullet points there in bold. Understanding AI basics. You need to have an understanding of that. You need to understand the prompt engineering, okay? how to ask it a question. So, so if you're chatting with AI, tell me about leadership. No, that's not the way you want to have it do something specifically. Say, what are the 3 traits of a great leader? With examples from famous CEOs, and it'll go through it'll search the entire world of knowledge, and it'll come back with a very specific response if you tell it to do so. If you just tell me about leadership, it'll come out with a story, and that's it. It may not be the story that helps you with what you're trying to accomplish, and by trapping this information. Be literate about data. AI runs on data. Boeing is very interested in having a user interface that's easy to grab onto and use. Critical thinking. AI is powerful, but it is not perfect. Knowing when to question AI-generated answers and spot potential biases. Anyway, that's AI. There's the 5 things. There'll be a quiz on Monday. Oh boy. Alright, so now we're looking at Apple Watch. Series 11. Here's some leaks. No, the watch is not leaking. We're talking information leaks. Because this, in 6 months, this will be the talk of the town. Actually, in June, they'll probably be talking about the Apple Watch with a release in September. There's always some key things about the Apple Watch that are always talked about. Is it going to, what are they going to do about glucose monitoring? Blood oxygen tracking. Yeah. Remember they had to turn it off because they got sued by somebody in the European Union. 5G capabilities. I think that has a new modem in the chip. Okay. Interest rates are going to stay where they're at right now. The Fed has decided to leave rates where they are. Of course, Trump wants the rates down, and this guy is keeping them where they're at. He's worried about, Trump's tariffs, how that'll affect prices. So he decided yesterday to leave rates where they're at. So that's the story there, which means that mortgage rates will not significantly lower because the rates are staying where they are. And what you want to always be looking at for mortgage rates is they're tied to the 10-year Treasury. Typically mortgage bankers, because mortgages, people, when they take out a long-term mortgage, not many people see it to the end of the 30-year mortgage or whatever, because they sell the house and go somewhere else, because when you're in your late 20s, 30s, late 30s, you know, you might have a job or two. You know, so if you're in Atlanta and all of a sudden you accept an exciting new job in, you know, Nashville, Tennessee, you got to pack up and go. Maybe in Nashville, Tennessee, when you land there, you'll have temporary residence until you find something to buy. You know, then when you buy something, chances are you're going to need a long-term loan, a mortgage, which is essentially a security document, a note on a mortgage. Yeah. So, watch the 10-year Treasury, and you take the 10-year Treasury and add 2.5, 2 3/4 points to the 10-year Treasury. That's your home loan rate, pretty much. The investment bankers make that spread. They make that 2.5 point spread. So if their cost of money is X, then it's marked up 275 basis points over the 10-year Treasury. And that'll be your residential mortgage rate. You can almost write it down in ink. 275 basis points over the 10-year Treasury. So watch the price of the 10-year Treasury. If you can see it plotted on the graph, you see it's coming down. You see it's been a lot higher, I can tell you that. Mortgage rates, and when we moved from Miami to Tampa, oh my God, in the early 80s, the mortgage rates were 14, 15, 16%. Whoo! Everyone's crying the bills for 6%, crying the blues because it's 6%. It was 16%, in 1981. 16! Holy mackerel! That's 10% higher than the 6% they are right now. So, you want to buy a place, just go ahead and buy your place. Don't worry about playing the rates, because the rates can go up. So, and since they've been 16, 17, 18% in, recent history that Marilyn and I lived through, just go ahead and enjoy your life, get your mortgage, find a nice place to live, and buy it if you can. Nashville, Tennessee is a nice place to be. Just decide that's where your life's going to be. Tampa, oh my God, I love that move to Tampa. I love that Tampa. Yeah, we did all kinds of business in Tampa. Yeah. We did really good in South Miami. Are you kidding? Coral Gables? Whew. Wasn't for Coral Gables, I wouldn't have met Marilyn in the first place. And when you meet somebody that you stay with, for 45 years, in my book, there was never, a downtime. A time where, geez, I wonder if I made the right thing being with Marilyn. Are you kidding me? Never crossed my mind. Not for 10 seconds. You have all kinds of other, life's exciting life's issues that you may or may not like, but not between the two of you. We were like, like two bugs on a rug, as they say. Yeah. Okay, President Donald Trump suggests in an interview aired recently, like yesterday, that Barron Trump may not follow in his father's footsteps. Because when he was being chatted with Laura Ingraham, if his son, would emerge into politics or business, the president replied, He's a technology guy. So he may be doing something in technology. Whatever that means. I tell you what, he's at 6'9.5". Woo! Yeah, that kind of towers over everybody. It's amazing. Every time someone pops out, these kids, they get taller and taller. Phew. My son, he's looking down on the top of my head. God almighty. He's 6'4". You know, that's 6'4" and 5'8". That's quite a difference. But when you get to be 6'9", holy Merkel, that's 5 inches taller than 6'4". So he's looking down on top of his head. I think Trump is 6'2". So he's a big guy. And his son is bigger. All right, look at this. We think it's the best digital, the DLSR, digital, single lens reflex. I think they got the, this is dyslexia. It should be DSLR. Digital single lens reflex. They got the accent on the wrong syllable. I think they got those letters a little Frakawi. What do you think? Or is it me that's Frakawi? Let's look it up. What's a DLSR? You see the first choice there? DSLR. Yeah, they that's a typo. A typo in the headline. I don't know. I thought that looked a little screwy. I thought so. Anyway, we think the best digital single lens reflex ever made, and the Nikon D850 is now at a best ever price. This discounted by a massive $1,000. Well, let me tell you, in my humble opinion, it's the Canon R5. Yes, sir. That is, let's take a peek. Canon, C-A-N-O-N, R5. Got any? Let's take a look. We're going on the internet. I'm not a robot. Check that button. There we go. Ooh, look at that. Canon R5. They have a Canon 5 Mark II. Yeah. Here, look at this one right here. I'll touch that one right there. Come on, baby. Oh, hell, we'll just go there. Bingo. Look at that. $3,000. The newest model, the R5 Mark II, this is the camera I have. Let's show more. There we go. All right, let's check. There we go. Let's compare. Let's see what that looks like. So now we're comparing the two. Let's see if that's easy to... How do we get the results for that? Well, so much for that. Yeah, that's this R5C. That's $3,000. What's that one? Oh, that's for the lens. We know what that. So here's the R5. And yeah, so you have your choice of whether you want the cinematic version, which gives you some more video capability. It also has, show more, show more. There's a little button there. There you go. This is what I have. Oh, nope, sorry. I have this one. The R5, not the Mark II. This is the guy right here. It has a 45 million pixel imager. We know that. So that's that square thing right in there. So instead of film, ouch, it's got a 45 megapixel imager, the same shape as the 45 millimeter, the 35 millimeter film. If that was cranking film through there. So that's a 45 megapixel full frame CMOS sensor. All the sensors pretty much are CMOS. And unless you're into designing imagers, which we're not, we're people that take pictures. So look at that, 918 reviews. It's 4.8 stars. To me, it's this is the camera of the century right here. It shoots 8K video. There aren't any screens right now that even deliver 8K. So they keep talking about 8K. It's 8K capable, and it will throw out 8K at 30 frames a second. But no, you can't play it on it. You can't play it on anything because none of the big screens handle 8K. But see that 4K right there at 120 frames per second? Now that number right there, that is a number that means something because your big screens are 4K. And 10-bit internal video, the 10-bit means basically it's the amount of color, how many colors, which is millions and billions. 10 bits. 400 megapixel in-camera files. So you can take a picture that looks like a 400 megapixel picture inside the camera, and it's all automated. That would be a huge, that would be if you're flying around in a helicopter and you're doing aerial reconnaissance. 45 megapixels is huge. That is a huge. 6 times 8 is 48. So that's like 8,000 pixels by 6,000 pixels, on each edge. Yeah. You multiply that, it'd be 48 megapixel. This is 45 megapixel. So 12 frame per second, or 20 frame per second electronic shutter. So that's like a slow movie. So what that means is if you're a sports photographer and you got a long lens on this sucker and someone just threw the pass, now you want to have that perfect catch. Well, you hold that button down right about the time when he's catching the ball, just before, if you will, and hold the button down, and it goes into that 20 frame per second business. There's going to be the perfect time where you got that ball, he's catching it right in his hands. So he's either catching it in his hands or it's bouncing off the back of his fingers, either case, you've got a stunning, magnificent picture. So there's so much data in 45 megapixel picture, and the fact that it can crank 20 of those per second, in other words, capture the image and save the image in the buffer and then clean off the imager So it's ready for the next exposure, and then bam, there's another exposure coming. And do that at 20 frames a second is a lot of data when you got 20 of those cranking through there. So the screen in the back is 3.2 inch. It has variable, you can twist it. This right here, 3.2 inch vari-angle touchscreen. Yeah, the touchscreen is quite stunning. The focusing system has the capability of tracking, your receiver. If you're trying to get that catch, so you see the ball going downfield, so you get over to that the receiver, and you push this button halfway down, so it focuses on that receiver. Well, it'll stay in focus because it has subject tracking, and as soon as you tell the camera to start making notice of that particular player on the football field, it'll track that player. Yeah. So that used to be a $4,500 camera. You can get it for $3,000 right now. $29.99. Yeah. All my major equipment, I bought it B&H Photo. B&H Photo Video. Yeah. Now you got all this online business, so it's easy for you to see all the details and compare these different cameras. I guess if I was going to get another R5, and now obviously the Mark II has more capability. See, it does for 30 frames per second, continuous shooting mode. It has 5.7 megapixel internal, viewfinder. So when you look through, that peephole on the back of the camera, you're actually looking at a 5 million pixel little tiny TV screen. Remember, I have an 85-inch screen on my wall here, and that's 4 million pixels. This is more. This is 5 points. Shrink down to the size of your fingernail. Yes, sir. Yeah. Wi-Fi 6E. Wi-Fi 6 support. This is Wi-Fi 5 support. Oh, you're a little more up to date on the Wi-Fi figuring. There you go. The cinematic one. So, see, it says 12-bit. That's a much deeper color array. It has time coding in case you have multiple cameras in your team that are shooting simultaneously. 4-channel audio record, and it has XLR adapter outputs. Yeah. See all details, and there's more. We go. There you go. Woo. Yeah. So I would probably, if I was buying this over again, I'd have bought this cinematic version. And you can see right in here, there's actually a little. Let's go to this image. I don't know why it's coming up on that bar. There we go. You see here, this venting. When you're in cinematic mode and you're cranking through there 30 frames a second, that imager is going to get a little warm because all those pixels, every pixel has a little electricity hanging on it. waiting for that exposure. So when the light hits the imager, each pixel is activated because of the light. Dark light, bright light, red light, green, all the millions of colors that are capable of coming from the sun. Well, there's an electronic absorption of that light. So then that gets swept off and creates the picture. Okay? Peels off all those pixels, all the values of all those light values, then cleans the imager, almost like wiping it clean, and then it's ready for the next exposure, and it can do that 30 times a second. Well, that's a lot of electrons coming and going out of that imager. And so they have, and since you might be using this for video purposes, not just taking still images, regular pictures, they've got a fan system that'll, cool off the back end of that imager. So instead of just having it, connected with silicone grease on a heat sink, it's connected. The back of the imager is, yes, with silicone grease, but the back of that has like a few fins on there, so that the cooling fan that's built in to the C version of the R5 with a C there, a cinematic, makes it so that you can actually run movies. Actually, the movies with the 12-bit depth, so this is the kind of camera that you could do actual cinematic videos. And instead of 30 frames a second, it would be 8K at 60 frames a second. I mean, so this is like a very serious video camera that movie producers in Hollywood would use when you're in tight quarters. They had these big old cameras that are sitting on these huge tripods, and they paid $500,000 for the camera. Well, this camera is probably better. This R5C mirrorless cinematic camera from Canon is probably a better camera than that director producer is sitting at with that $500,000 camera that he bought 10 years ago. Because they're not going to ditch it. They got too much invested in it, so they just keep using it. It's okay. I mean, it's going to give them a nice digital file when they push the, when they hit the cut, and then they get ready for the next shoot. Yeah, this camera here, that's it. You shoot movies with this sucker. I mean, real ones, for Hollywood. So if you're a professional photographer, which, Marilyn and I have shot a lot of professional events, product photography for, athletes. Yeah. I'm looking through. So anyway, we're talking about what's the camera to get. You got $3,000 burning a hole in your pocket, and you got Canon lenses. This is. There was a time where, they wouldn't let you in the event if you had Nikon lenses. You had to have Canon lenses. Reuters is one of them. You didn't have good Canon lenses, the best lenses on the planet for shooting professional photography. They wouldn't let you. They wouldn't take your pictures. There you go. There's the underneath. That's the bottom of the camera. Yep, I've seen every angle of this puppy. Yes. See that Red Sea right there? Now this will take excellent stills. But you got that capability of doing incredible video shooting. Here's the spec list of this. Yeah. Look at the iOS video. The iOS range is 100. You know, it used to be ASA. You know, now it's ISO. ASA 100 to 51,000. You talk about having low light sensitivity. Oh my God, that's nuts. And there's the pixel dimensions. So we just stay up there in the top. So 8100 pixels by 4300 pixels on down. Now you can have different, but that's the first one on top. This right here, that's yeah. A lot of megabytes. You'll fill up a lot of cards with this sucker. These are big pictures. Now, you know, the camera that I have takes, you know, the same pixel dimension. This just shoots at 10 frames a second faster. So, you know, for the same price, you might as well get the cinematic one. See, 45 million pixels, effective pixels. This is for the C. Then we go back up to the see, back. There we go. Let's see. This is show more, show all. There we go. So now we go through this. Hit the specs. There you go. You see 81. Here it is right here. 8192 by 5464. 45 million pixels. You multiply those two numbers together. That's how you get 45 million. Yeah, the image stabilization in the camera. You can see sensor shift, 5 axles. So if you have image stabilized lenses, it uses both stabilization systems. But if you have lenses that aren't image stabilized, it stabilizes in the camera. The actual imager shifts around in case you're not steady holding the camera, particularly in video mode. Yeah. 12-bit. There you go. This is the R5. Yeah, this is the camera I have. Show more. Bingo. Now you can see all the different. You see this H264. That's the 8-bit version. The 420 and 422. That's Hollywood right there. That H265. Yep. We'll bring that back up. So you got an SD card slot, and you got the CF Express card, which is a bigger card, holds more information. It's all digital. Going down, you're looking at this right here. 5 gigahertz has 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi capability. 802.11ac. There you go. So in other words, you can take pictures, and your sports information person, they can be uploading right into their computer as you take pictures. In other words, you don't have to run the card to them. If they're zeroing in on you're the one that's taking some of these action sports still images, because they want to put them up on the website right away. Like now. When you're shooting, forget about at the end of the game. Everything's like instantaneous nowadays, which is kind of amazing. Remember in the days of film, they'd have to shoot the film, then they have to go develop the film, then they'd print the film on paper, and then they'd look at them to see which ones they liked. And then you'd have to refer back to the film strips to pick out the right image. Oh yeah, image 27. Let's go get it. Yeah. Now, you got this Wi-Fi, 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi. You push the button, it goes right into their computer. They're up in the press box. You're down here on field. That's the difference between 10 or 15 years in the world of... I had digital cameras, I'm not going to say first, but I was the only one, on the football field with a digital camera. They're looking at me, what the hell's that? I said, yeah, this is a DCS 560. I take 6 million pixel images, guy. Look right, I take the picture, it comes out on the back of my screen. I see if I got the shot or not. You have no clue until you go develop. You will have one of these. Oh no. Yeah, we like that. We like that film, the grain on the film. Oh yeah. Sure you do. "20 frames per second at maximum resolution." There you go. I'm paging through here's all the video capture modes. Yeah, there's that 422 10-bit. That H265 is the way the rest of the world looks at it. See, 422 10-bit via HDMI. That's the little cable that goes over to that monitor that the director looks at when you're making your videos. Because you got your eye up, you can look through the peephole. This guy's looking at the monitor, that 10-inch monitor that's mounted on top of your camera. It's crazy good. I love it. This stuff is so good. Canon, baby, is the camera to get. I'll tell you the reason why I got the Canon camera. Now, I know all about these specs, okay? That's important. It's the color. The color is so pristine. Skin color. Anybody can take a picture of green grass, okay? But when you see this picture and the colors, that skin color is so perfect. I'm not picking a mouse. Yeah. You see how nice the skin colors are? Yeah. So it's taken a while for these camera manufacturers to come out with good skin color. Sony, these other companies, you had to work on each picture too much. Every picture you had to work on because the color was a little, not quite right. You got to have the color just right. I mean, the people that you're giving the pictures to, if you're working, if people are paying you money to take pictures, it's got to be right, I got my first lesson, I should say. In professional photography, the people that were the most critical of color is plastic surgeons. They've taken my digital photography classes. They were most concerned with the color of the skin color of their patients as their, before and after shots with the facelifts, things like that. And the color, the surgeons were really interested in how the color looked. When you set up the photography rooms for the plastic surgeons. You go into like the doctor suite. When you sit in the cubicle waiting for the doctor to show up, he sits down and looks at your charts electronically and all that. Well, in one of those rooms, that's where they take the pictures. And should the background be white? Should it be blue? Oh my God. I had some surgeons, world-class surgeons. Boy, they'd break your chops to get the pictures. They are so concerned with the color temperature, of these images. So that's when I really got, I had to focus real seriously on the color, the actual skin color. And when you're taking pictures, in my opinion, when you're taking pictures with a Canon camera, the color is going to come out off the imager, without any processing at all. Just whoosh, that image comes off the processor, goes onto the video screen. Whoosh, it looks the best without having to do anything. Nikon images you'd have to do. All these other cameras you could buy. Now the Canon cameras cost a little bit more. The lenses cost sometimes a lot more, but the color is pristine. So if you want to learn, and cameras, the buttons are all in different places and things. My suggestion to people that care about my opinion, get used to Canon equipment. Unless you're working for somebody that's got a whole box full of Nikon equipment and you got to use it, fine, then go ahead and use it. But if you're starting out fresh and you're going to acquire stuff for you, and you're going to start working, taking pictures for the internet or wherever for clients, if you buy Canon equipment, you'll spend a lot less time with your computer, what is known as post-image processing. In other words, after the shot processing. If you take 200 shots, 300 shots, and you got to post-image every one of them, and fine-tune every one of them. That could take you, 20 hours, 10 hours. So you want to take pictures, that come out of the camera good, without having to do a lot of post-image processing. Like this shot. All the skin colors are just right. Yep. Okay, I'm done. It is now 10:32. I've been talking away about all kinds of different topics in my 2.5 hour dialogue here. It's 10:32. And I have now begun my 81st year of life on this planet because I was born at 9:36 a.m. today, along with Baron Trump, who turns 19 today. I turned 80 today. 80. The big 80. 1945, 2025. That's 80. So I'm now working in my 81st year. The first hour of my 81st year on this planet. Yeah. My mother tells me I was a real pain in the butt for the first 8 years of my life. Oh yeah, boy, they had to tie me down to read and all. See Spot Run. I had no interest in See Spot Run. So I learned to read technical magazines. The World Book Encyclopedia. I loved the World Book Encyclopedia. Encyclopedia Britannica, that was a little, I didn't like that one. My mother had both. I didn't like the paper. The print was a little too small. It was a little, every article in the Encyclopedia Britannica was too, it was written like a technical paper. It wasn't easy to read. The World Book, that was like a huge magazine. All the stories were very, the way it was printed, the paper had a higher opacity, they call it. Technical word in the printing business. Yeah. Opacity. The paper was higher dense. You couldn't see, Encyclopedia Britannica, you can almost see the letters on the back of the page coming through on the front of the page, as you turn the pages. But the opacity of the World Book, it was like a glossy white paper. Anyway, so I like to, today it's all electronic anyway, so you don't have that paper issue. But I learned how to read, popular mechanics, popular science, popular photography, popular everything, popular electronics, popular photography. Absolutely. That's how I got knowledge about all this photographic equipment. Because when I got two cameras, I wanted to get the right one. I didn't want to just get one. I wanted, so to speak, get the best, that my budget could tolerate. And obviously when you're young, your budgets are smaller than when you get older. My first digital camera, single lens reflex digital camera, was $20,000. Can you imagine? Not $250, not $2,500, not $4,000, $20,000. Holy crap. I used that for like 8 years, and I sold it to somebody in Las Vegas, Nevada. He bought it for $2,500. I kissed the check when it showed up. Jesus. Paid $20,000 for it. 8 years later, sold it for $2,500. And the reason why he bought it, he needed it, was he had, he was hooked up with one of these casino things where they had rides, and they'd take pictures of you coming down the flume, and almost like a Disney setup. And then they put the electronic images up on screens, and you pick picture 2078, and you walk away with your souvenir print. But as you come down the water flume, it automatically take the picture. Well, he had a camera that was in that digital array of equipment, and he needed the camera that I had. He needed that camera because it was a Canon digital camera with a Nikon imager, and he had one just like what I had. I sold it on eBay, I believe, and he put a bid in and won the bid. And that was the installation. He was replacing a camera that went dead on him for some reason. Maybe it got rained on or something. Anyway, they're not waterproof. So he bought the camera that I had with low shutter count, because I didn't have that kind of situation. I was a freelance photographer that got hired when I got hired. And when I wasn't hired, the camera was in a case. Anyway, I got computers. I got all kinds of stuff going on here. I'm doing my own digital TV show here, talking about cameras and equipment and light balancing and skin tones. You see, like right here, that's probably shot with a Nikon. You can almost tell. Canon gives you the best skin color. And, after all, we're taking lots of the pictures we take, is of people, Now, if you're taking architectural photography, where you're shooting pictures of buildings and all that kind of stuff, it probably doesn't matter that much. But if they ever hire you for doing, taking that kind of a shot, I have pictures that I've taken with that DCS 560, which cost me $20,000. I was one of the very few photographers that were ever permitted into the Supreme Court. Justice Sandra Day O'Connor gave me permission to take pictures of a group and her, and she was giving a private talk in the Supreme Court, and I was permitted to carry that camera in there and take pictures. There are not many people on this planet that has taken any pictures of any sort in the Supreme Court. That's sorry, Bob. But I did. Yeah. In 1990 something. I'd have to think about, when that was, but they're probably on my website. Go to www.416-1100.com. The hyphen is that little thing, next to the 0890 hyphen equal sign, delete key, all the way over there. Yeah, right over here on the keyboard. It's next to the 0. It's the lowercase. That's a hyphen, as opposed to that big dash. 416-1100.com. And you go to my website. I guess I'll have to show you. And go right here. You see it up there in the very top of the screen? 416-1100.com. That welcome to Jim Wilson live broadcast. It's kind of covering it up, but if you kind of look behind there, you'll see. That's my. Well, there you go. See, 416-1100.com. Health and wellness creates great images. Yeah. There's my favorite polo shot. That's my key. The top picture on my website. There's Marilyn and Jay Leno. Look at that. So all these shots that are 3 across, see unique events, FAU events, FAU sports, executive portfolios. There's Marilyn right there with a cowboy hat. See stage and concerts, like that. Civic and public events. Here's my famous tomato sauce. Yeah. There's Daniel, youth soccer, equestrian events, polo matches, NCAA championship events. I mean, over 20 years or so, I've taken a lot. Marilyn and I have taken a lot of pictures. There's medical imaging, FAU classes. Here, this is my class right here. Yeah. Look at that, 26 million visitors. 26,422,000. Can you believe it? It's a lot of people. No advertising. There's a real fast bio of yours truly. Principal licensed broker engaged in the design, development, and property management of major real estate projects, and also one hell of a picture taker. Yeah, there's my broker license number. Yeah, been a real estate broker for over 20 years. One of my famous things I financed, I used to be in the banking world, is Joe Robbie Stadium. How many people have financed a football stadium? In 1983, I had to sign on the dotted line to deliver a $115 million construction loan. $120 million, I think it was. Yeah. There's the architects, the project manager, George A. Fuller and Company. Yeah, it wasn't a guy, it was a company. 75,000 seat stadium, 24,000 car parking garage. How about that for some parking lots? Yeah, that was all embodied in Northwest Dade County. Yeah, and I signed on down the line on that one. How many people have financed a stadium? 75, it wasn't the biggest one on the planet, but 80 years, and then in the 80s, a 75,000 foot brand new stadium in South Florida on a 140 acre site was pretty big business. Yeah. I think that is the biggest loan I've done. Yeah. So 120 million, can you imagine? Today would be 3 billion in today's dollars. Okay. With that, I'm going to say good night. You all have a great day, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. This is Thursday. It's March 20. It's the first day of spring. How about a birthday on the first day of spring? Barron Trump? Barron, where are you? Happy birthday, kiddo. You and I have the same exact birthday. Now, how nice is that? He's 19 today. I'm a tad older than that. How about 60 years older than that? Yes, sirree. So we're gonna, let's see, I gotta turn that one up. This is on the wrong panel. That should be it right there. Yep. That's it. I just opened the door. The crowd is clapping. So I'm going to see you tomorrow. It's 10:46 a.m. Well, it's 10:47 exactly right now. You all have a great day. Bye-bye.